what you described about the Greeks. Well, the Greeks, in fact, all of Europe, or most of it, gave away its sovereignty when it joined the euro. There's no such thing as a sovereign country that can't create its own credit to support government debt. So the minute that Greece and Germany and France and Italy and Spain and Portugal gave up their own currencies, their own ability to create money, and put it into the hands, essentially, of private banks. They're now financed by private banks. They gave up their sovereignty. And if you give up your sovereignty, it's very hard to get it back, as the Greeks found out, particularly when the population is all brainwashed that they have to be part of the EU or they're finished. So the reason the Greek government couldn't do anything was, first of all, it didn't get a large enough share of the Greek vote to have clout with the creditors with whom it was trying to negotiate. And second, the Greek people kept saying, we must stay in the EU. We must be part of the euro. So that basically deprived the Greek government of any negotiating power whatsoever. And so the whole thing became a farce. It's also happened in Ireland. The Irish were looted by this same process. It's happened in Portugal. It's about to happen in Spain and Italy. Most likely it will spread because the only source now for these financial profits is looting itself. The EU is now looting itself, just like Americans are being looted by their financial system. So when enough people see this, experience this, it dawns on them. It's accompanied by economic failures. It's accompanied by foreign policy failures. Then all of this failure produces the opportunity for change or revolution. There could be revolution. Now, the Greeks had an opportunity to exit the euro. The Russians offered to finance it. But most likely, the government was threatened. You know, the United States is expert at assassinating people. Just look at all the indigenous leaders that rose up in South America who got overthrown or assassinated. Sometimes they're overthrown without being assassinated. Other times they're simply overthrown by being assassinated. And you can't not suppose that such a threat was given to the Greek government. It's easy to accomplish. There's always a coup to blame. So these kinds of constraints, though, they weaken and pass away as it is perceived that the power at the center behind all this is weakening. And if you take into consideration the fact that the Russians and Chinese, and the BRICS, as they're called, have created their own International Monetary Fund and their own World Bank, you're seeing here a lot of departure from Western economic institutions. They are also now engaging in trade with one another in their own currencies, leaving the dollar, bypassing the dollar, so that the demand for dollars falls. The consequence, and the sanctions that the United States arbitrarily and illegally places on countries, this also encourages countries to leave the dollar payment system. And so that further weakens and shrinks Washington's power. So I would say that if the establishment thinks it can hold on by continuing its rapacious economic policy, its rapacious foreign policy, it will be surprised. It will not